Hi, my name is Clare Barrett and this is play-by-play for the Abbey Theatre.
The Government Inspector was my very first show here in the Abbey, and I've been working as an actor for a while with doing a lot of new writing, and this was my first time to be in the Abbey and working on a classic, but it had that extra little twist of being adapted by the fantastic Roddy Doyle, so that was exciting. You grow up, seeing Roddy's films and reading his books. I was probably a bit older than some of his children's books that he had written, but I knew them, and I was very excited to meet him and to work with him, But it came at a time that was a very hard year for me. I'd lost my mum, so but I was very happy. It was something she really wanted for me, was to work in the Abbey or to get that chance, and a couple of days before she died, I got the part and I was able to tell her, so she knew that I was doing it and she was really happy. So it means a lot to me from that as well, and a lot of this cast. Obviously there was debuts here as well. I wasn't the only one. It was a huge cast. It was a huge show. They actually gave me a unibrow for this particular character. I played 3 different characters and was part of the ensemble, and this character had a unibrow, and there was very strict instructions because the president was coming and we must go straight from the stage to meet him in the rehearsal room. But I thought, I cannot meet the new president of Ireland, who I was a big fan of, with the unibrow, and I've never ran so fast in my life up the stairs just to get a wipe to go like this, and then I went up and met him. But my entrance in that play was carrying Peter Daly while smoking a cigarette, so I had to carry him in a fireman's lift across the stage. It was that was a way to make an entrance for my debut, I think. Yeah, so Ireland As I Die was a lovely thing. We had done that, that's myself and Amy Conroy there, who's also a very good friend of mine and has worked in the Abbey a good bit too as well. I'm sure people would know her from that. But this was a show that we developed and Amy wrote in 2009. We did it in the Fringe, and then I went into the Dublin Theatre Festival, and then the Abbey very kindly invited us to come here, and we played in the Peacock. I spoke about this to somebody recently, because people think, oh yeah, we've had marriage equality and everything is great, but at this time there really hadn't been a play where people had seen themselves, and obviously Amy and I are playing with the form of documentary theatre here, and we're pushing the boundaries of what age we were, and I think this was a big deal for both of us in our lives and in our careers, really, was this play. And to be bringing it to the Abbey, which at the time this would have seemed more like a fringe piece, you know what I mean? It felt like a really big statement that the National Theatre was behind us. Trad was great, and again, another little through line of connection. I worked with the writer Mark Doherty, was in my first show here in the Abbey in The Government Inspector, and so that was a lovely, when I got cast in the show, to be able to reconnect with Mark was very special. He's a really great man as an actor and a writer, and I loved this play. When this play came out, because it was written it was written for 2 lads, and then the other lad played a man or a woman. Aaron Monaghan, he approached me and he said, I'd like just to change the balance a little bit there and to have a girl play the guy and the girl. It's such a fun piece, it's so absurd, and it hadn't really been put on in a long time. We got a great reception for that, because again, there's a whole new generation of people who haven't seen the plays. Similarly with The Government Inspector, or like The Whiteheaded Boy, like we're about to do, a lot of people don't know the play, and it's lovely to bring back an older play. Not that Trad is as old as Mark Doherty is not as old, disclaimer, as old as Lennox Robinson, but they get the stuff that you remember when you were younger, to see it coming back again and have an whole new generation of people go, oh, that's a great play, But the Girl was great. Again, it was like a lovely, it's lovely to bring something through a new lens. So here we are doing The Whiteheaded Boy 100 years later, you know what I mean, and to try and find resonance in it in today's world. That's always a great thing. This was a really, brave and challenging production from that perspective, to have women. I'm sure there were people who were against it or whatever, but for us, it just was great for us to be given a chance to play those characters that we wouldn't normally. And it was also a way to celebrate Brendan Behan's writing. This particular play hadn't been performed in a while, certainly hadn't been done a production like this. And for me, the character of Regan I really enjoyed, because he's not a funny man. But I was thinking of, what makes a particular production, whatever, or something memorable that you remember from something. So on the night of our dress rehearsal, the Dublin riots unfortunately happened. So that is a very memorable thing in relation to the queer film. The following day they were wondering whether they would cancel the show for our safety, for the audience safety, for everybody. And they rang somebody very fair play to them, in their, you know, box office and everything, they rang people individually to say, do you want to come to the first preview? Would you be, you know, we have got this clearance from the guards that it's okay to open, but we just want to make sure. And the people that were like, oh no, we're not going to let this interfere with our city. And I have to say, God, I'm getting emotional now. I do every time, because we came in that following day and the city was like a ghost town. People had come that were retired to clean up, and you know, we owe a lot to our audiences really, and the fact that they came out that day gave us kind of courage, and it was really lovely. Like, somebody was asking me about Emma recently, and I was like, the story, obviously the Jane Austen story, is that it's a series of balls that Emma is trying to go to, you know, to set people up to her to meet. So, and that's exactly what we had. So it's like a party, like it is a series of balls, and we had a ball basically. It was my first time to work with the fabulous Jenny O'Malley, and her soundscape and her music was just brilliant. We had, like, you know, you have a harpsichord playing Charlie XCX. Sometimes you tire of pre-show music. You know, you're going, you know, when you're on week 10 of the production or week 12, you're going, oh God, I can't hear that song again, you know. But you never did this, because it was such a medley. It was like the best playlist you ever had. That is the thing. They are your universal family. There's a bit of everybody in there. And
it's a strong family resemblance.
Strong family resemblance there to us all. So The Whiteheaded Boy is an Irish comedy that was written, it's probably set in the 20s, 30s, but we are doing a little tilt on it and we're bringing it up to the 80s. We don't really have to change the script to do that. The script is quite modern in that perspective. It's really funny. It's funny in a very relatable and familiar way. That's what makes it funny, as opposed to us poking fun at people. These are people who are very much living in their truth. They're very excited because on the day, we find them on the day of the play when the son is coming home from Dublin, but we've just got a fax with some information that might make his visit not as pleasant as we hoped.
I think people should come to The Whiteheaded Boy because it's just a wonderfully funny night out. It's bold, it's irreverent, it's got loads of notions, which we all enjoy. Nobody in Ireland doesn't enjoy a good notion. So I think if you were looking for a good night out, especially coming up in June and July, it's the place to go. Come with friends, come with family, come with people who you'll know will recognise themselves.